Hello, everyone. We're back on YouTube and LinkedIn here, bringing you another exciting episode of the Top Innovator Series. This is where we dive into proven leadership ideas, game changing strategies, and the brilliant minds behind all of this. My name is Josef Martens, and I'm thrilled to introduce today's guest to you. With us today is Arsh Kauser-Haque. Arsh is the Chief Data and Analytics Officer and also Interim CTO at PE Group, an energy provider based in London in the UK. Before that, he held tech executive roles for other companies, including Verizon. And today, we're thrilled to have him with us. Arsh, it's great to have you in the conversation here.
Thank you so much, Joseph. I'm very happy and excited to be here as well.
Awesome. So, leadership is our topic, Arsh. And I would like to go right to your reflection on your leadership journey. Now, you've been super successful in what you've accomplished. And I'd be curious to know, what do you think are the reasons for your success? What do you think are maybe the secret ingredients to what got you to where you are today?
Yes, so I would start with a cliche, and people will probably groan at this, but I would say family. You know,
Okay.
leadership as a family, right? Uh, Leo Tolstoy said, uh, you know, uh, all happy families are alike, and unhappy families are unhappy in different ways. And I think a happy family, being able to create that within an organization, really makes you function very well. I know recently there's been a lot of bad press about family because people talk about the previous generation saying there's no more loyalty between the company and the employees and the team and this, and it's all changed and it's become all transactional.
Mhm.
And I said that is because it's an unhappy family, right? uh,
So I want to
if you
be
have a happy,
mhm.
sure, yes.
I want to be clear here. When you say family, do you mean your family at home, or are you talking about the
No,
company
I'm
as a
talking about
family
creating your company
metaphorically?
as a family,
Okay,
your
okay.
company as a family, your team as a family, right? When you have a leadership where the team feels like they're part of a mission, part of a goal,
Hmm.
just like a family is, right? Everyone is working towards something,
Hmm.
and then that really makes for an effective team. Uh, Otherwise, it just
Yep.
becomes a task assigned to you, and you complete the task and you sign off. But if I'm really invested in the mission of the company, in the goals of the family, so as to speak, then I'm really invested in how everyone else is doing their job as well. And I'm willing to reach out and help out and work together.
So I want to be clear here. I love the analogy of the family, right? Um, so I got alignment on mission. What else is important to make this a family?
Yes, so just like family, I guess if you look at how a good family functions
Uh-huh.
well, right? And what does a bad family functions like, right? So we talk about boundaries, work-life balance, right?
Okay.
Now, in a good family, you say your son has to go out on a football game. You don't make him do the household chores. You don't say, no, you have to do the family work first and you can't go out on game. There has to be a work life balance. Same thing happens at work, right? You can't say you work weekends, work day, right? You have to let them have some kind of
Okay.
balance between family responsibilities and their own personal responsibilities. Uh, Accountability, when we talk about, you know, uh, we accept each other for what we are in a family.
Mm.
Sounds good, right? But uh, the fact is that if you are just accepting each other for what they are, then you're not encouraging discussions about how to improve each other, right? So you have to be a family, but you have to be able to discuss things and point out issues with the families and bring it out and work towards it. Leadership, if I go and say I'm head of the family and everyone follows me, that doesn't work. They have to trust your leadership. They have to know the reasons behind the decision you're taking. You may be taking hard decisions. That's fine. But if the family understand why you're taking the hard decision, if you're being open and honest and transparent with them, that really helps. Uh, Listening to new ideas, growth, right? If I say that we do things like this in the family, we have always done it and we'll always continue doing it, that's wrong, right? You have to be able to listen to the idea. The youngest person in the family, the youngest employee, or the lower level employees in the company should be able to come up with new ideas, and you should be able to listen to them. Yes, this is better for the family. This is how we'll change. Uh, you're either in the family or you're out. The whole Godfather thing. You have to be with the family. No, you have to listen to outsiders. You have to get their ideas. You have to be inclusive about listening to ideas coming from the outside. Someone in your family is bringing ideas from outside, you listen to it. So that's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's all those different
Mm-hmm.
aspects which makes a happy family, which then, and I think I come from a tech background, obviously, and I think engineers and technical people are happiest, right, when they're happy. And I know it sounds a double positive, but I have never had to make my engineers work extra hours or
Mm-hmm.
force them to do anything because they're
Mm-hmm.
doing their of their own free will,
Mm-hmm.
right? My
So,
wife needs
mm-hmm.
something done, I will
Mm-hmm.
do it
Mm-hmm.
without thinking it's an extra effort.
Yeah. It's a nice analogy, the family. Many thoughts pop up for me, right? When I think of family, I also think of cranky toddlers, I think of rebellious teenagers, and all of that, right? And they probably all fit in there somehow. When you think of your leadership journey again, what does that mean in terms of your evolution? So, if we use that metaphor, how do you evolve? How do you change your leadership? Or how do you level up in a leadership? If that's even the right term, right? Because, yeah.
Yes, I think when I evolved as a leadership, I'll come to a popular movie, Gladiator, in which there's a dialogue there. One of the main characters says to his son, he says, "Your failure as a son is my failure as a father."
Hmm.
And that is what I realized. Leadership is all about accepting that if your team is not succeeding,
Hmm.
you are you are responsible.
Mm-hmm.
And there could be various reasons, right? So someone in the team is not working. There could be three reasons for a person in the team not working. Motivation, they're not motivated. You have to investigate, why are they not motivated? How can I motivate that person, right? It could be that they're assigned to the wrong skill set with the wrong job assignment. Then you have to really realign them to a proper job, right? And then if they do not feel rewarded, or they do not feel that they are part of the family,
Mm-hmm.
and I keep repeating that, is that's when you see them disconnect. And that's why my leadership has evolved, where it's not a rigid leadership. There's no one size fit all. This is how a lead engineer is supposed to work. Then all engineers are supposed to work.
Yeah.
Everyone is different, right? Someone could be more innovative. Someone would like to have a task assigned to them and work on their own. Someone can be more uh, work well better in a team, in a group, constant communication. Someone needs constant motivation. So you as a leader really need to pay attention to not uh, be consistent in one line of thought that succeeded maybe 15 years back. I had a team and that succeeded, and I go continue that same line of thought and same methodology. I have to evolve. If I need a successful team, I as a leadership needs to keep changing.
Yeah. When you look at your journey and your evolution as a leader, what was something that surprised you there? What was a situation where you thought you have an idea of how this is going to play out, how this is going to be, and then when you were actually in that situation, it was completely different, was completely different from what you expected?
Yeah, so I guess when we started out and in Verizon, this was my previous company,
Mm-hmm.
we started off as a practice where we were doing uh, data science as an experiment. It was almost something new. Data science was not even a job function at that time. And we started. And it's all very fine when you're working on things and playing around things and trying to invent things, right? But as soon as you start going into production and making it mission critical, right? Your whole leadership has to change because now it becomes
Mm.
very important for you not to say that, you know what, we'll just sit and innovate and plan out things. Now your task and the tasks that are assigned to you becomes very important. So that's the thing where I evolved, where I realized that you have to change depending on the life cycle of a project. So it's not even one leadership skill. It's even during the life cycle of a particular project, you have to change your leadership style.
Got it.
That is what surprised me. That it's not. I've built a successful team and it will
Yep.
remain successful forever.
Yeah. So the change that comes with it, the need to change or adopt one's approach.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and really change on the fly in some cases even. Hmm. Yeah. When you think back to the mentors that you had, I'm sure you had mentors, trusted advisors, people who were walking by your side in your professional journey. When you think of the advice that you got from them, What was some advice that really resonated with you? Something that you found insightful, powerful, or helped you a lot?
Uh, so actually, I'll tell a story about it. My first
Mm-hmm.
job itself, I joined and I was working on this work late at night. Must have been 8, 9 p.m. late at night, and I saw our director walk by, and he looked inside and he saw me sitting all alone in this big room where all the engineers used to sit and working on it. And he walked away. And next day he called me, and I'm like, I'm going to be commended. I'm going to be praised for my effort, right? Working this late at night. And he sat me in front of him, and he said, you were working. I saw you working late at night, right? So there's two scenarios that could have happened, right? I'm incompetent because I gave you too much work and you couldn't finish it within 6 hours, right?
Okay.
Or you are incompetent because you couldn't finish the work allotted to you,
Okay.
right? And that sort of start the evolution of that family thing where a person has to be happy, where the work life balance has to be there, where the team has to be
Interesting.
the leadership has to give you a job that can be attained, can be done, and then that's a good judge. Then it's uh, apples and oranges. It's you comparison between what is given to you and how you deliver. So that always resonated to me, and that's how I've treated my team over all these years, where my workload on them is in tune with the things that they can accomplish and they should accomplish.
That's a neat story. I really like this. When you started, I also thought you're gonna get some kind of commendation for that, but
Yes,
it's
yes.
insightful. Yeah, I get it. So we talked about the past of your
Mhm.
leadership journey. I'd love to take a look at where you are today, and not a question about companies, titles, or anything like that, about your leadership journey again. When you look at where you are now, what do you think is a growth area for you? What is something that you're focusing on right now and say, I can change my leadership, I can improve my leadership, there's something I can do here?
Yes. So I guess one of my theories of leadership. I'm a big soccer fan. What we call football in Europe, right?
Right.
So the European soccer, and Johan Cruyff used to be a player, a Dutch player, a soccer player,
Mm-hmm.
and he invented this concept of total football, where anyone can play in any position, right? So a defender could play as offensive person, and an offensive player could anyone could move around. That fluidity of being able to move around really made successful, and that's how I have always followed my team, where I have encouraged everyone to learn everything, right? Which works very well. Again, going back to the family analogy, right? You're going out on a family vacation, a trip. I could be tired. I could tell my son, "Why don't you drive?" Right? I could take over playing the music. My wife could start looking for the places to stay. So you keep changing roles, right? Because there's no rigidity about it. Everyone can drive, and we'll change according to the needs of that journey, right? What I realize now is when you're in a mission critical area, right? That doesn't always work well, because a
Okay.
time comes. Let's say again, giving that example of that vacation ride, and somebody suddenly falls sick in the car, right? Now it becomes mission critical. You need to go to a pharmacy or a doctor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you need the best driver, the safest and the best driver driving the car.
Mm.
You need the person who's best at finding locations and doctors. You need someone who can talk and get an appointment. So everyone then starts on their best person. You put them in the role, and now it's mission critical. You put them in the role, and then they function to the best of their ability because they're already good at it. That's how I'm evolving, where my idea of, yes, everyone learn everything, right? Sometimes fail, because sometimes you need experienced people
Yeah.
there. It's mission critical. You cannot have everyone do
Yeah.
everything.
I love it, especially in a crisis, right? That's when it's really most needed, so that people can fall back to their core strengths or to a behavior that comes easy for them.
Exactly. And because in energy is a very regulated sector that I am in, right?
Mm.
Where compliance is a big issue.
Okay.
So you can't really have people who are not really following compliance, who doesn't understand the privacy laws and such in an area where they will not
Yeah.
work just because they are very good at something else.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes a ton of sense, especially in those areas. The risk is just too great. Yeah. Now let's take a peek into the future. Let's assume we were to have this conversation again in 3 years, 5 years, something like that. What do you think might have changed about your leadership at that point? What is something that will be different than in terms of the tools, the mindset, the approach that you're using?
I think one of the most important aspects about leadership is not only creating a functional team,
Mhm.
but create a team that functions beyond its capabilities. Someone that can really deliver things that uh, that on paper doesn't even look possible, right? So innovation as a leadership, encouraging innovation in leadership, is something that I really want to delve deeper into it. I hope
Mhm.
I'm able to create a team which could. So you have the brilliant folks, right? The brilliant
Mhm.
by nature, they're born, their genetics, they're brilliant. But how can you institutionalize it in a way that your team could become innovative
Yeah.
without really having super intelligent people all across?
Yeah. It's the combination of the people that is so unique,
Yes,
right? And the next so
yes,
special.
it
I
is.
find
It is.
it a really useful activity for any team to address the question, what's something that only this team can do? What is something that only we in this unique combination are able to accomplish? Yeah. And it
Yes,
sounds like
yes.
there's a similar question in what you're posing there,
Right.
in
Yes.
finding. Let me ask you one last question, Arsh, and then we are going to land the plane here. If you had a magic wand and you could change something about leadership, about how tech leaders lead their teams and their businesses, where would you tap that wand? What would you do differently, or what would you magically change in how leadership works?
Yes. So again, like I said, I really want to invest more time in how to create an innovative
Okay.
environment and an innovative organization. And in my opinion, there are two things that create innovation: hunger, right? When you have a need, a hunger, right, for something, whether to be recognized, whether to do well in a company, or just hunger to invest something, right? It's hunger. And the second, I don't know how much you'll agree with this, is boredom. You need to be bored a little. You
Mm-hmm.
need to be able to pre-think,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I want to implement more, allow my team to be more bored in a
Mm-hmm.
way, right? So take the example of, you know, uh, Apollo 13, right? They were
Mm-hmm.
in a crisis, right? Their oxygen tank failed. They had to figure out a way to get these folks back home, right? Now, this was hunger or pressure. You have to deliver. You have to deliver quickly. The solution may not be perfect, but you have to get it done, right? So they innovated. They found a way to fit the round peg into the square hole, a duct tape. They used duct tapes and plastic bags, and they got these folks home, right? That was innovation in pressure, hunger. So that's good, right? That is good. The other thing is when you start thinking how did it, right? Google had this concept of 2 hours, or I don't know the exact time, free every day to do whatever you go and do something, right? And that's what invented Google News. They came up with Google News. That's what invented the thing everyone loves, the autocomplete. When you
Mm.
start typing and it completes the thing. That came off that free time that employees were given. I know boredom is a little excessive. It's not boredom. It's the ability to just still be at work,
Yeah.
do your work, but be able to think beyond your immediate task.
Yeah.
And that's what something I think I struggle with when your deadlines are there and when your deliverables are there, to create an environment where you could allow them to just sit and think and do things on their own. I would like to inculcate that more into an organization and get them thinking there.
I love it. I love it. And that's not easy to create in an organization, in any
It's
organization,
not.
because the
It's not.
pressure
Yes.
is always on taking action
Yes.
and being seen in action. Hmm. Arsh, this has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much. I really loved the
Same here.
insight you shared, and especially the thought about how to stimulate creativity through
Same
boredom.
here, Joseph.
It's
You made me think about myself, which is so rare.
Thank you. It's been good. To
Thank you.
everyone else out there, please like, share, and subscribe. And most importantly, join us again for our next Top Innovator series. And until then, make sure to keep your brain cells active.